Hi everybody, welcome to this week's edition of The Oldish. If you are new with us, my name is Karen and it is my pleasure as always to be your host. If you have any comments while we're having this conversation, I would love it to be a two-way conversation. Put your comments in the comment section below and I will see it. So today I want to talk about growing older but with greater health. You know, it's September. I'm outside now. I'm under the umbrella of my patio set, and it's just so nice in September to be outside and to have such lovely weather still. And I want to take advantage of that for as long as I possibly can. But, you know, September is also a time when, hi Shirley, how are you? It's also a time when many of us sort of renew our thinking. We get out of holiday mode and check into normal life mode, if you will. You know, we're back to work in a more invigorated way. We're taking up our volunteer duties again. We're cleaning out closets, maybe. I did a little bit of that this morning. And I have some clothes to take to the local place where they're donated, so I'll be happy about that. It always gives me a fresher feeling to have a lighter load. But we've been posting a lot of articles recently about health. Sometimes that stuff can change by the hour or by the day. You know, you drink more coffee, drink less coffee, drink more alcohol, drink less alcohol, 1 glass, 2 glasses, red, white, who knows. Anyway, there are several things that we absolutely know we can do to stay healthier. And it's certainly our goal, I would think, to stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible. So I've jotted down a few things based on some of the articles that we've published recently, and I just want to share those with you in today's live. So let's start with the ever-present attitude. Attitude is everything. We all know that, I think. If you have an attitude that is doom and gloom, then I think you're going to attract that to you. Hi, Barbara. You're going to attract that doom and gloom to you. So having a positive, upbeat attitude can mean all the difference to how we approach life. Hi, Sherry. If we approach life with a positive, upbeat attitude and with a smile on our face, I think other people see those smiles and return them to us. And we just have a better approach to everything that we have to deal with. Hi, Linda, how are you? Nice to have all of you joining us today. So attitude is definitely number one and tops on the pops list. Second on my list is movement. We have to move our bodies every day. Whether that is walking, and walking, you know, if you go to the grocery store and you're walking, that counts. If you're going over to the post office and it's just a couple blocks away, that counts. It's just all in the steps. Now you can skip as well. For those of you who are able to skip, that is a really good aerobic exercise. Hi, Janice. You really just have to skip for 5 minutes a day. I think a lot of us did that when we were little kids, but grab yourself a skipping rope. It's cheap and cheerful. And if you can do that, go for it. Lifting weights is also a really good thing. Now, you don't have to have weights. Cans of soup, jugs of olive oil or bleach or whatever you've got around, laundry soap, whatever you've got around that gives you some resistance to lift, you can do that. So it can be as inexpensive as using things that you find in your cupboards, or you can go to the store and buy some regular weights. Hi, Louise. Hi, Janice. Nice to see everybody here today. So lifting weights, getting that resistance exercise in is really important. And I will mention too that lifting weights, you can do whether you are seated or standing. So for those of you who have a difficult time standing, sit down and do some weightlifting. Really good exercise. Stretching. Oh my gosh, stretching. How many of you in the morning give it a good big stretch? But if you go to yoga class or Tai Chi, those kinds of things are good. Now, they are still advising 10,000 steps a day if you can do it. However, I saw this morning on the news that a brand new study has been released for, and it was a study that was done on people who are 85 years of age and older. 1 hour a week of walking reduces the risk of all-cause death and cardiovascular death. So 1 hour a week, so 60 minutes divided by 7, it's not very much. So I think the idea is do what you can. Do what you can as often as you can. Start somewhere and move. Move your body. It's good for you. It's better than sitting in a chair all day. And I sit in a chair a lot of the day because I'm on a computer. So I do definitely have to make the effort to stand up and move. I have a treadmill in my apartment, so I do use that. You don't have to buy a treadmill. Go out and walk on the streets before the snow closes us in. For those of you who live in environments where there is snow and ice, and here is a bee. We don't like bees. I don't like those outside, but they go away with the first frost. But I'm not anxious for the first frost, so I'll just swat them away. The next thing I want to talk about is food. It is so important. Hi, Louise. Hi, Suzanne. It is so important to eat as clean as we possibly can. So you know that 100-mile diet that people talk about, eat whatever is grown and can be transported within 100 miles of where you live. We live in Canada, so it's kilometers, and I happen to live in an agricultural zone, so it's not even 100 kilometers. It's probably more like within 10 kilometers. I can do some pretty good eating. The Mediterranean diet remains the top diet for health. So for those of you who don't know, the Mediterranean diet is largely plant-based. It is whole grains, nuts, seeds, and extra virgin olive oil. Moderate amounts of lean poultry, fish, seafood, dairy, and eggs. So moderate amounts of those things, but largely a vegetarian diet. To the extent that you are able to do that, that is great. If you are a meat eater, make sure that you are eating lean proteins, okay? And of course, alcohol and coffee, we talked about that at the top of the show today. Always new studies coming out. 1 cup of coffee a day, no coffee. 3 cups are okay. 1 glass of wine a day. Stay off of it. The studies vary, but I think that the one thing that they would all have in common is moderation. Okay, that is where you want to head. The fourth thing I want to talk about is social engagement. That is so important. Now, social engagement, it has been determined by many, many people who know better than I, is essential to stave off loneliness. And loneliness has been described as a risk factor as great as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It is so important not to be lonely, to make sure that you are engaged socially. And again, hi Rhonda, if you go to the grocery store and you have a conversation with the clerk as your food is being scanned and checked out, that counts. Grocery shopping in a small town, which is where I live, in a very small town, it's actually a social interaction in and of itself. I never go to the grocery store but when I don't see people that I know. That engagement is so essential to good quality of life. If you have been hibernating a little bit too much in the last little while, consider kind of sticking your feet into the social engagement pool. You can have that social engagement through your volunteer activities. I know I'm volunteering at a United Way soup event this Friday to kick off their fundraising campaign for the year. That is very important, just to be able to get that social engagement in. Your home is the next thing I want to talk about. Now, as some of you may know, others may not, I have certifications in accessibility assessment. So I'm big into that and making sure that our homes are a safe place for us to live. Most of us do not want to spend the last years of our life in any kind of long-term care or nursing facility. For some, it's unavoidable, and I understand that. But to the extent that we are able to make our homes safe places to live as we age, we should do that. Now, basic home construction has not changed since the 50s. Architectural controls still seem to favor porches with 3 or 4 steps up to them. It is better not to have that. It is better to have a home where we can just walk into the front door, and that front door needs to be wide. I'm a huge fan of 40-inch doors, but if you can do 38 or 36-inch doors, you shouldn't go less than that, then that's terrific. And you know, when you think about it, having a truly accessible entrance is good for not only those of us who are aging, but families with small children. How often have you seen a mom or a dad struggling with strollers and multiple children just trying to get upstairs and into a house while they're carrying with them bags of groceries? It's a benefit to everybody. So we want those wider doors. We want that accessible entrance. A visitable home, if you're talking about a multi-story residence, would see a washroom that is at least 5 by 5 feet on the main floor. And that's to accommodate people who may come to visit you who may have accessibility or mobility devices that they need to use. We definitely want them to be able to do that. I can't tell you how many stories I've heard from people who want to go and visit their adult children, but they can't get their walkers and wheelchairs into the powder room on the main floor. So they don't get to stay and have that cup of coffee. Hi, Marge. Hi, Jane. Nice to see you here. Anybody who has any comments, put them in the comments below and I will see them. So, you know, if you have company who has a mobility device, so an aging parent or a friend who may have multiple sclerosis or some kind of physical impairment that requires them to have a larger bathroom, a lot of times they can't get into that powder room on the main floor. So for them to be able to sit and have a cup of coffee with you, understand that that cup of coffee may require them to need the facilities. And for dignity, for their dignity and their privacy, we need to be able to provide them with that space that they can move around in comfortably and safely. So if you are thinking about renovations to your house for your senior years, a 2-story house does not mean you can't stay there. It means that modifications might be necessary. And one of those modifications might be having a larger bathroom. You might need a bathroom that actually has a roll-in shower. So you need space to be able to do that. How many times have you and I heard of people who need to scoop a little bit of geography around an existing bathroom to make it a bathroom that they can actually use? Hi, Joyce. A lot of times people need to create their primary bedroom on the main floor, where in years gone by it may have been on an upper floor. So having that space is a really good thing that we all need to think about. If you're thinking about doing a kitchen renovation, think about your needs as you grow older. Think about a sink that you might need to wheel under, or a stovetop that you might need to wheel under. Also think about an oven. If you're replacing your oven, a chef's oven with doors that open either from the center and out or from the left side or the right side is something that you might really want to consider, because the stoves that most of us have, I have it, and in a house where I had a wall oven, it was a pull down. You can't get close enough to it without burning yourself. And there's no place to take hot foods out and set them down. And that becomes a very important thing if you're older and need movement. I could go on and on and on about a house, because as I said, that's a lot of the area where I work. We have another Facebook page called Reno Studios. We have a website called renostudios.com. You can go there to get more information if you like. One of the things that all of us have to do as we grow older is the last point that I want to touch on. And that has to do with the decisions that we have to make as we grow older. Hi, Lisa. We have to make decisions about driving, about our home, about finances. Not making a decision is in fact making a decision. So I want to caution you all about the need for taking charge of your own life and making those decisions. I guarantee you that if there is a decision to be made and you don't make it, somebody else will ultimately make that decision for you. Let's take driving as an example. At some point, we will all be needing to stop driving. It is inevitable. Our range of motion, our reaction time, our ability to see and hear well enough to have the responsibility and the privilege of driving will decline, and we will have to give it up. I cannot tell you how many messages I get from people asking me how they can sneakily take the keys away from mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. Again, that is somebody else making the decision for you. Make the decision yourself, and part of making the decision to give up driving is putting in place the pieces that will allow your life to carry on in a way that makes you happy and that lets you get to your appointments, to shopping, to live that independent life that the vast majority of us want to be able to live. So, for instance, if you live in a subdivision and everywhere you go requires driving, you might need to look at the idea, hi Janie, at the idea of moving closer to a transit route so that when you give up your car, you can hop on a bus when you want to, instead of depending on someone to go and get you, or perhaps the added expense of having groceries delivered to you, or the added expense of cabs. Just something to think about. These are the kinds of things, when you make a list of the way you like to live your life and the things that you do on a daily basis, think of how you're going to do them without a vehicle at your disposal, one that you can hop in whenever you wish and take yourself to wherever you want to go. That same process of thinking through how you're going to retain your independence and still live your life and do life needs to be applied to not only driving, but how you're going to live in your home, cleaning your home, maintaining your home, doing the lawn cutting or the snow shoveling, whatever has to be done, the finances in your life. How are you going to manage that? Finances are something, when we stop working, we have to think about the pension or our investments that are going to pay for our life. Another bee floating around here. All right, if you see me swat at things, there really is a bee. It's liking my snake plant, and I think the fact that I'm out here. Anyway, you need to really give consideration to how you're going to live your life when you're not able to live it the way you have done for the last 40 years. And you making those decisions yourself, instead of waiting for them to be made for you, speaks directly to your independence. There you go. Those are my thoughts for today. There is a lot of information on all of these things, the latest studies. Hi, Linda. Thank you so much. Good ideas. Yes, there is a lot of information about the current studies, the current thinking, articles that we've run across, thinkers that we've run across. You can find all of those articles at theoldish.com. And if you want to listen to some of the podcasts that we've done, we have to get our new season revved back up again. But podcasts, there are 2 videos there about renovations to spaces that will allow people to live better and more independently. You can see those under the Real Life Renos tabs. So I would invite you to go and check those out. But meanwhile, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you back here next Wednesday at 12 noon for another edition of the Oldish Live. Until then, take care of yourselves. Be well. Bye, everybody.